The Hadean Eon. Earth had just formed, and its surface was a churning field of molten rock. Volcanic activity was constant, and the atmosphere carried none of the oxygen needed for life as it exists today. Asteroid and comet impacts were frequent, some large enough to have delivered the water that would later fill the oceans. Temperatures at the surface remained scorching for hundreds of millions of years before the planet began to cool into something more stable. No fossils survive from this period, since almost nothing about the crust from that time remains intact. What little evidence exists comes from ancient mineral grains called zircons, found embedded in much younger rock, the Archean Eon. By this stage, Earth's crust had solidified enough to form the first stable continents. The atmosphere still lacked oxygen, but the oceans were teeming with simple, single-celled organisms. These early life forms were anaerobic, meaning they survived without needing oxygen to function. Structures called stromatolites, built up in layers by colonies of bacteria, are among the oldest physical traces of life ever discovered. The sky during this period would have looked strange to modern eyes, tinted by a haze of methane rather than the pale blue familiar today. Continents drifted slowly across the globe, though the shapes they formed bore little resemblance to anything recognizable now. The Cambrian period. Life took a dramatic leap forward during this stretch of time, in an event known as the Cambrian explosion. Nearly every major animal group alive today can trace its origin back to this short geological window. Trilobites became one of the most common creatures in the oceans, their hard segmented shells covering the seafloor in vast numbers. Strange, soft-bodied animals also appeared, many unlike anything seen before or since. Early arthropods developed jointed legs and simple eyes, giving them an edge in hunting and avoiding predators. Shelled creatures such as early mollusks, ancestors of modern nautiluses, began building the hard coverings that would help their descendants survive for millions of years. The Paleozoic era. Life continued expanding well beyond the oceans during this era, gradually making its way onto dry land. Early fish developed the first primitive backbones, setting the stage for every vertebrate that followed. Plants took root along the shorelines before spreading further inland, changing the landscape completely. Insects appeared soon after, followed eventually by the first four-limbed animals capable of walking on solid ground. Vast forests of ferns and towering club mosses stretched across the continents, their remains compressing over time into the coal deposits still mined today. The era closed with the most severe extinction event in Earth's history, wiping out the vast majority of species alive at the time. The Mesozoic era, often remembered as the Age of Reptiles. This era was defined by the rise of dinosaurs across nearly every environment on land. It unfolded in three distinct stages, beginning with the Triassic, when the earliest dinosaurs emerged, alongside ecosystems still recovering from past extinctions. The Jurassic followed, bringing warmer climates and the appearance of massive, long-necked herbivores alongside early flying reptiles soaring overhead. By the Cretaceous, flowering plants had spread across the globe, and dinosaurs had diversified into an enormous range of shapes and sizes. This long era ended abruptly when an asteroid struck what is now the Yucatan Peninsula, triggering a mass extinction. Roughly 3/4 of all species, including every non-avian dinosaur, disappeared in the aftermath. The Cenozoic era. With the dinosaurs gone, mammals expanded rapidly into the space left behind, growing larger and more varied with each passing stretch of time. Early primates appeared in dense forests, developing keen eyesight and nimble hands, suited to life among the branches. Other mammal lineages moved toward the water, gradually giving rise to the first whales and other marine mammals. Grasslands spread across the continents as climates shifted, favoring animals built for speed and endurance across open terrain. Horses, once small forest dwellers, evolved longer legs suited to running across these growing plains. Toward the end of this era, early human ancestors appeared, walking upright and beginning to use simple tools shaped from stone and wood. The Ice Age. This period was marked by repeated cycles of glacial advance and retreat, as massive ice sheets crept across large portions of the northern hemisphere before slowly pulling back again. Woolly mammoths lumbered across frozen plains, their thick fur suited to the bitter cold. Saber-toothed cats stalked prey through icy terrain, relying on their powerful bites to bring down large herbivores. Giant ground sloths moved slowly through the landscape, some standing taller than any human. Cold, dry conditions shaped nearly every species that survived this stretch of time, favoring thick coats and stored fat reserves. As the ice eventually began to retreat, many of these massive creatures struggled to adapt to the warming world that followed. Humans arrived. Early humans emerged during this period, adapting to the harsh and unpredictable conditions left behind by the retreating ice. They developed clothing from animal hides, offering protection against the cold that earlier ancestors could not have survived. Simple stone tools were shaped for hunting, cutting, and building shelter, marking a major shift in how humans interacted with their environment. Fire became a central part of daily life, providing warmth, protection, and a way to prepare food. Small groups began forming lasting communities, working together to hunt large game and share resources. As the climate stabilized, human populations spread steadily across the globe, adapting to nearly every environment they encountered.